GM, or genetically modified foods, are causing major problems to our health and our environment today. According to the article, Genetically Modified Soy Linked to Sterility, Infant Mortality in Hamsters by Jeffrey Smith, posted on April 20th, 2010, found on the HuffingtonPost.com, hamsters that were fed GM soy had significant changes in reproduction rates and also an increase in organ problems. This report states that a study performed by Russian biologist Alexei Surov found that hamsters that were fed GM soy had a lower birth rate and higher infant mortality rate than those that were not. Those hamsters that were fed GM soy had a 50% mortality rate, while those that were fed non-GM soy had a 10% mortality rate. That's a change in 40%. Surov's research also found that those hamsters that were fed GM soy had only 40 pups in their lifetime, while those that were fed non-GM soy had 78 pups in their lifetime. In the web article titled, "Eating This Could Turn Your Gut into a Living Pesticide Factory" by Dr. Joseph Mercola, posted on January 29, 2013 on HuffingtonPost.com, Dr. Mercola warns of the dangers of the Bt toxin. Bacillus thuringiensis, or Bt, is a pesticide that is engineered by Monsanto to explode the guts of insects that eat it. Now, despite Monsanto's claims that once ingested by humans, it's completely destroyed in the gut, in 2012, doctors at Sherbrooke University Hospital in Quebec found the Bt toxin in 93% of pregnant women's blood tests. It was also found in 80% of umbilical cord blood and in 67% of non-pregnant women's blood. In the web article titled "Healthful Foods You Should Never Eat" by Dr. Mercola, posted October 4th, 2011, found on Mercola.com, in 2009, a Brazilian study showed major reproductive organ changes noted in animals that were fed GM foods. This report states changes in reproductive hormones such as estrogen and progesterone in those rats that were fed GM corn for only 15 months. This study also found that these rats that were fed the GM corn for 15 months started to develop a very common fertility issue called endometriosis, rendering these female rats sterile and unable to reproduce. Besides the health issues, environmental issues are also on the rise because of GM foods. According to the briefing, in a briefing titled "Environmental and Health Impacts of GM Crops, the Science," posted in September of 2011, found on Greenpeace.org, GM crops threaten the soil and the water systems. According to this briefing, Monsanto's GM corn crops, which are bred and engineered with Roundup inside of them, this Roundup is transmitted into the soil. It goes through the roots of the plant and into the soil, therefore rendering the soil toxic. In the same way, these toxic materials are also transferred into the water systems that surround the GM crop fields. This briefing also states that more herbicides are being used as GM crops increase. As GM crops continue to be planted at a higher rate, more and more herbicide-resistant weeds are growing as a result of being cross-pollinated with the GM corn crops that have Roundup in them. As the herbicide-resistant weeds grow, the amount of herbicide used on the food that we all eat every day increases astronomically.